That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What is going on, OneCast fans? We got the crew here. Trey will be here in just a second. I got Ben, Larry, one of our ambassadors, here with us, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, the 2023.
Well, not quite Knoxville.
Well, yeah.
Well, Murrayville.
Murrayville. We were corrected. It is not Maryville, even though it looks like it on a map. It is Murrayville. Murrayville. So that's where we're at. Murrayville, Knoxville, in the area. Bassmaster Classic 2023. We're through 2 days. You're good, Trey. You can sit. Dave, what's going on, buddy? So, yeah, booth 4013 at the Classic, Knoxville Convention Center. Anybody in the area, make sure you come see us. If you're going to Blast Off, make sure you holler at my man Larry right here to my right. He's going to be down there with Academy Sports, making sure everybody's good down there. And then come by and see us once the convention gets started. So, as always, code scrolling across the bottom of the screen, onecastfishing.com. Use the code THE1CAST, save 10% at checkout, and get you the snagless jigs, some long neck hooks, if there's any left. So if you want some, you better hurry up and order, because we're rolling through them out here at the Bassmaster Classic. We're getting photo bombed by my wife and Trey waving, photo bombing. So, Ben, you want to get rolling? You got anything you want to say?
Yeah, let's get rolling. You guys want to talk about the fiasco we went through the other night?
Oh, yeah.
So this is not our original Airbnb. So I don't know if you saw the post the other day, but we had some plumbing issues at the other place. We got kicked out Wednesday night, and fortunately we were able to find this place. But talk about sometimes you have to adapt and overcome, because we were all set up for the Classic, ready to go the next morning, and we just had to pick everything up and leave. Fortunately, we were able to find a place and ended up all working out. But it was like the only Airbnb left. That's why we're in Murrayville and not up in Knoxville right now. It's only about 25 minutes, so it's not bad. Hey, Larry, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Just glad to be here at another Classic.
Are you not exhausted? Because you're up at launch every morning. We're lazy. We sleep in a little bit. We get to the expo around about 8:30, 9 o'clock. You got to be there, what, 4:35?
4:30, yeah, 4:30 in the morning, and you'd be surprised, man. It's still packed out there, even in the rain. No matter the weather, we got some great fans out here that truly love the sport. So they got some dedication just to come out there with me, because I'm getting paid. They're not.
Tracy,
that makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Huh?
Hello.
Yeah, you're coming up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn your gain up a little bit. Try now.
Hello.
It sounds muffled. Let us know if Trey's a little bit muffled. I don't know.
Hello.
Trey usually runs this thing. This is what I hold on. I think I got it figured out. Trey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Little skiddly bopping there.
As usual, as we go live, I screw something up as the IT guy. Pete, the IT guy. I'm available for your parties, for your lives, anything you need. I'll come get you set up.
Oh, there goes Ravity choke.
But
DJ Pete.
sorry, I was a little distracted there. Did we go through the whole fiasco with the Airbnb?
Yeah, I did a quick wave top view.
So if you travel around, you do shows, you go to these things. There's stuff that happens, and that's one of them things. So we had to cancel Larry on what was that, Friday night? No, we were gonna do it
Last
Thursday
night.
night. Thursday night. And we pushed it till today. Luckily, we were able to get on here, get live. I don't know how many people were available, but we're here now. So be sure to put your questions down there. But Larry, you want to, like we always do, tell a little bit about yourself. Let the folks know what you got going on.
Oh man, I'm just a guy from North Carolina. It's my hometown. I love to fish, love to be outdoors, love to be an ambassador of the outdoors. That's, turning people on to the sport and influencing their love for the sport, and just, talking to people and getting to know everything. I grew up fishing with my dad and grandpa, like a lot of folks, and just, love the sport and kept going on with it. Now, of course, we all went through our phase where we got away from it, but, now I'm back at it full steam, spending all my checks. But, it's a great addiction. Let's put it that way.
Larry, what is one thing that no one knows about you that you want to say? Come on.
We are live right now, so you got to keep it PG.
Yeah, like, I don't
I
wanna-
mean, I'm thinking of something that you told me earlier that you do that I was like, wow, that's outstanding. Like, that's legit.
Oh, you talking about the smoker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
PG-13 smoker. Yeah. keep
yes,
going.
yes. I'm a avid home chef, so I love to cook and learn different techniques. I actually built a smoker out of a file cabinet. That's what Trey's keying in on.
Yeah.
And I got it up there on my reels on Facebook. You guys can check it out. But I love that thing, man. It's just 3 drawers of food and just you got that smoke rolling out. No knock to the big green egg, but I'd rather buy some more one cast gear.
That's right. And check it out. Like, we are going to have an OD Green one cast filing cabinet smoker. Eat your heart out, Chef Boyardee.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yeah. So, Larry, this isn't your first classic. You've been doing, I think we talked since what, 2018 or so.
Yeah, right. I think it's 2018. Whenever the
Is
last
this your
one-
second one here at Knoxville?
No, first one here in Knoxville. So it might be 20.
So it would have been 2020
2020.
that you
yeah.
got started.
Gunnersville is where I got started.
Yeah, Gunnersville. So and I've been to quite a few, both working and as attendants. Ben and Trey, this is your first one for both of you, right?
Yeah, I owe you
Yes,
a
it
case
is.
of beer. It's the first time.
First time?
being here.
First time being here?
You're welcome.
First time listener, long time listener, first time caller. Don't know what to do with my hand.
You don't know what you do.
I'm holding the mic. It's super awkward, right? Dave and David, thank you for
Yeah.
joining
Good
us.
evening, guys.
Yeah, it's our first time being here.
Yeah.
Hey, let's
so-
let's talk a bit about at the expo we're selling product. We got our booth there. We actually don't get to watch very much of the classic. We pull up our phones.
Nothing.
Nothing. We wish Bass, if you're listening, because you listen to us, put TVs all around the expo.
Yes.
So we can actually see what's going on. Fortunately, I think some booths had some up with some coverage from day that were close to us, but we're always pulling out our phones, trying to get updates. But so after we get back in the evening, we usually watch the midday update, and then at the end, kind of the highlights, so we know what's going on. And I don't know. I think Gussie's got it, boys. What do you guys think?
Oh, don't you know?
Yeah, yeah. Any Canadians, don't you know? He's gonna be tough to beat.
Dude,
Look.
I appreciate his fishing style, the platform he runs, the humbleness that guy has. Like, he is amazing. He's going to take it home.
As excited as I am for him to win, because I think it's great. First, I have the first Canadian to ever win the
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
He's just an all-around good guy, and everybody will tell you that. But the fact that Live Scope is going to win another tournament just makes me so happy that forward-facing sonar is playing a role. Randy,
You know what
Blockett.
I want to say? Boom, shaka, block
And
it.
Blue, one other thing on that, Ben talked about the TVs. Bats, I did tag you in this. If you happen to see it, take a look. The only thing the MLF did at Red Crest that you all didn't do is they had big TV set up so we could at least see it while we were in your
Ooh.
expo, because we had lots of time to watch it because it wasn't super busy. But it was
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Sentence finished.
no, it was it would be nice to have those around for us to see, and yeah, it's tough to
Yeah,
watch. Tough
so
for
what-
us to follow.
So if you've been watching and you got comments and you saw something cool, let us know. Because like I said, most of the coverage we don't get to watch.
It was cool that dart spit that old Seth Fighter had yesterday morning.
Oh yeah.
When he caught his first one, and they must have said, "Hey, you're on live, buddy," and you just seen that cigarette come flinging out.
Flinging out, yeah.
Larry, have you got to watch much, or you're probably sleeping because you're up super early out there with the
Yeah.
blast off and getting people lined out for that. So, do you watch the midday updates or anything? Or
I'll be honest with you. I'm watching the back of my eyelids at that point.
No.
But I will say, in the Knoxville location, the one awesome thing I found is that the launch and the expo are so close together. You
Mhm.
can get to both of them. 9 times out of 10 throughout the year, or through the history of the classic, the launch is an hour plus away from the expo. So this is my first year actually getting to go to the expo, hang out, because normally it's the last day I get to come back.
Yep.
So I'm happy that that's the case.
yeah, and that's something I pointed out to everybody that asked me. Like, oh, I'm thinking about going. Knoxville is great to go to because of just that. The launch, the expo, and the weigh-in arena are all either within walking distance or a short shuttle ride, 3 or 4 minutes. You're not having to go an hour and a half or more to get either to the expo, to blast off, to those things. So great job to Knoxville with that. The venue is pretty good, you know. Yeah, I've been happy so far this year. I think all of us have. We've got to see a lot of people, talk to a lot of people. We've given out a ton of one cast stickers, which is cool. So we'll see them floating around. And yeah, I wish we could watch a little more because it is the most exciting, exciting thing going on in sports. I wish we could get over to weigh in. And
the one big drawback tomorrow is the fact that we're going to be breaking down, trying to get out of here when they're doing the weigh-in. I would love to be able to go see the weigh-in and the confetti drop and all that when Gussie takes that trophy. Because unless he donuts and someone else has a monster bag, we talked about, we know it's going to happen.
What do you think, Larry? You think you got it in the bag?
Oh yeah. I thought from the beginning that anybody who had a northern fishing tendencies was probably going to be better off. The smallmouth are running right now, and everybody seems to be, loading bags up with those. And if you're strictly, trying to catch that largemouth to, finish your bag off or, complete your bag, you're gonna be in trouble.
So what do you think's gonna happen tomorrow when Gussie gets 15 pounds in the boat? You think he's just gonna be like, yeah, we're good here. I'm gonna run back to the ramp and call it a day, Is
it
what's that all about?
What's that all
Is he gonna pull a Tim Horton and just go to the launch and order a pizza?
I don't know if I'd order a pizza here, but I'd definitely get.
I tell you, he just pulls up back downtown. He could DoorDash any food he wants.
I heard very
you can DoorDash other things too. What do you think he's gonna do?
Pete's got a monster bag. Facebook user that came up about my monster bag. Your name didn't pop up, unfortunately. So
a monster bag of what?
I'm gonna have to pull my live up on my personal page. I have a feeling that's one of my buddies. But
you know what? Pete's got a monster bag of baits that he spent $1 million on.
We're not gonna get into all the money.
Pete's getting in that big swim bait game. So
luckily, Vandy Camp, what's up, brother? Vandy Camp also dropped an F-bomb in my speech at my wedding in front of after Chelsea shotgunned a beer. He let that roll. So. Oh, she's coming to give a mad face.
Here comes Chelsea.
She's like, how much money did he spend? VDK, that's Chelsea saying hi. But
my man.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of money. I got some baits that I've been trying to get for a few years. I got them and I spent
what?
Now I got to go out there and chuck them around and
exist to live, don't live to exist.
That's right.
Just get after it, dude.
You can't take it with you.
No, that's right. I mean, you could. You could.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could. I guess,
bury me with my wake bait. You know what I mean?
Put that on my headstone someday.
Let's go.
Larry, did you get anything cool other than one cast gear?
I got my first. You put me on to them. The casting rods.
Cashin'?
Yeah, man, that was my first rod, and they got a kayak series rod that I love. I'm a kayak fisherman, multi-species, sick. So that was my first one, and I'm in love with it. I haven't even casted it yet or put even a bait cast on it, but I'm in love with it. The feel on that thing and just the sensitivity and the backbone on it. I mean, speaks for itself.
Wait, and then you're an inshore guy, so you got to go in there and check out the whole inshore series that Cashin' also has. They make some great rods.
Yes, I'm spending my whole check, babe.
Let's rewind. No. Let's rewind. Larry is answer D. All the above. He does everything.
Yeah, man. We found
from rabbit hunting to making smokers out of filing cabinets to building spaceships. I'm serious. This guy, seriously, he does it all, and that's pretty amazing. And I just need to plug Cash in here. Everything's handcrafted here in America.
Yeah.
Right down the road, 12 minutes from my house. And they are legitimately quality over quantity.
Yeah, I agree.
And I use them. Right?
They're a great rod. I mean, you can't say it about every manufacturer, but if you have a serial number and you call and talk to my lovely wife, they can pretty much tell you everybody that touched that rod from start to finish. Yeah. And you're not going to get that with other places. So there's some hometown pride for us. They have a great kayak series. The new Element series that just launched. Puts it in, in that more affordable price point where people are more comfortable spending money. Yeah, $129. So $130, American-made rod, blank rolled in America by American workers. So Brian, what's good?
3-year warranty. That's what I need. I'm rough on my stuff.
3 year on the CK. The Element's a 1 year, and then the Icon is a lifetime, but it's no questions asked warranty too. So if you do like I like to do, and you're clumsy and you slam them in the truck tailgate or whatever, you can get them taken care of. Marcus, what's going on, man? Yeah, we wish you could have got up too. Would have been good to see you.
Yeah, we got Brian, we got John, we got Marcus, we got all the boys on.
That's
there.
right, Brian. I did not get any of the dangerous swimmers.
Are those the Zal dangerous?
Yeah,
swimmers?
I went to try to get some, and they were sold out. That kind of stuff did not last.
They were sold out of a lot of stuff. I mean, they had the Megabass had their limited colors for their, what's that called?
The mag draft.
Yeah, I bought them all.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
Trey
but-
bought every single one they had.
yeah, I bought them all. I'll resale value. I'll let you know. But yeah, I mean, they've had some amazing products here, man.
What model for a price point around 150? Yeah, so Brian, the Elements at 129 normal price, and that gives you a cork handle, which a lot of folks like. It's a great rod. So that if you're trying to get into it around that price point, and then what are the cores at now? 165. So cores are 165. That would kind of be your next bump up, if you wanted to spend a little bit more money. But for what you do down there, Brian, I know you like to throw jigs. You like to throw the bladed, a worm jig rod, all that good stuff will
7.4.
will help you. We did get to see, Brian. I did get to see 7.3 or 7.4. 7.3 is my go-to.
Yeah.
But the new Berkeley Fishing Call Shad, they're not selling any, but they did have them in their booth.
Yeah.
So I got to see it. I'll be blunt and honest
Mag
with
draft.
it. Yeah, it looks exactly like a mag draft. There's not a whole lot of difference. Is Out Dangerous? You know, he did some cool stuff with it. Larry, I don't know if he throws big swim baits or not, but
no, not quite. I'm not an avid swimmer, so I'd have to jump in and get that thing if I got.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Brian said 150 to 199. The next jump up from that 165 would be going to the Icon, which would put you a little bit over 200.
It's like 219, right?
219. Yeah.
I just bought a new one. You're welcome.
Brian, 7.3 is your go-to, man. So 7.3 Cash and Icon worm jig rod, medium, heavy, fast. I keep 3 of them on my deck, 4 sometimes at all times. Spinnerbait, jig, Texas rig.
Yeah.
It'll do it all, and it'll do it extremely well. I know a lot of guys like a heavy rod with a jig. I don't. I like that fast tip, and that medium heavy cash and has enough backbone for me to get them out from underneath docks if that's what I'm doing, or away from cypress trees if I'm fishing the east side of the state or somewhere else around that kind of thing. So that's mine.
First of all, you hear the sirens. I have a warrant. Second, don't lose your 7'3" cash and rod in the lake. I'm just saying, just don't lose it because I'm still sick.
Rick, we know you're surgical with the Icons, especially if Zach is the QC guy. So there's a whole thing with Rick. Rick's here. He's a friend of the show. He actually helped us get in one of our first retail stores.
BFS.
Yeah. Small crankbait rod, like a flat side, like a Fritz side.
Oh, you could
the
go
John
bigger.
Cruz Icon square bill run would be my first suggestion. So great rod again. Larry's gonna end up with a whole kayak full of them because he's gonna go throw that. I'm telling you, he's gonna throw that CK Chattergrass, and you go, man, I should have never bought this thing.
Baby, I'm sorry. I'm gonna spend the whole check already. It's gone. So.
Yeah,
Is she watching?
You can blame. her.
Matter of fact, it's her birthday, so I'm already in the dog.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm bad off.
Hey,
guys.
so he's gonna get you a cash.
Happy birthday.
Birthday. He's gonna get you cash and rod just in case.
Hey,
So you
Larry's out here waking up at like 3 a.m, slaving away to be able to,
oh darn, he bought himself a crankbait rod or a
Yeah.
kayak rod for your birthday. You're welcome.
So Larry, you're a kayak guy. I think you're running a Pelican now. I took him over, got him with my boys over at Hobie, and ladies. They weren't around when we were over there, but
you see
what
that?
do you think, man? 22,000 for a
Hope.
fully rigged out Hobie PA14, dual 10-inch Garmin's, live scope, Torpedo. She had her all.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Like, I told him, I was like, guys, what's the payment plan? Because this right here, I'm not
Sell a lot of smokers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sell a lot of smokers. I told you. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's one round, I guess.
Yeah.
You smell a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, no, I was quite impressed. I can't lie. Like right now, I can't stand up. I'm not, the seat makes me look, a little bit small.
He's
I'm
like
happy about it.
165. So
Stand up. Stand up.
You gotta
Pick me
stand
up.
up, dude. Like, and I'm not little, but look at this. My man's stalling. This is all meat. This is all meat. That's like the muscle, the meat. So we got it all, whatever you need at one cat.
They both scare me.
No, but yeah, so we went and showed him those, and got to see those. What'd you think looking at the Hobies? I mean, the whole lineup.
The whole platform
It's
is
expensive.
It is,
But-
but
What's
it's
up, David?
amazing as far as the applications you can do, and especially me. I like to eat. Yes, eating is one of my other pastimes. But especially all the adaptations you can do on those. And for me, being a multi-species, I take my kayak from Texas all the way to Florida. Up north, wherever. If there's water, I'll put my kayak in a bathtub if I need to.
Hey, can you put in that Bass Pro tank?
He's trying to catch rubber duckies. Come on.
But no, it was truly amazing, and my thing is I need something that's going to support 285,
Yeah.
and all my gear, because I am going to take 8 casting rods out with me.
Wow. Hey, so you heard it, Chelsea. He's buying 7 more tomorrow.
There you go. It's committed
Happy
there.
birthday, babe.
Yeah, pretty much. Mom's birthday was 2 days before, so she's getting one too.
Oh, there you go. It's a whole family
Whole
affair.
family affair.
Brian, I don't know off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
it's
I know.
wide.
Corey told us, and I don't.
can't remember.
I think it's like 36 inches wide.
I want to say 36 or 38.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that's more adequate than it for anybody. I mean, like I say,
I mean, I'll tell you this, you can stand up in them, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
somebody who's pushing 280, you can stand up. Now, if you're trying to get out on the nose of it and stand up and sight fish, you got to be like Christine Fisher size to do that
Yeah.
effectively, but they're very buoyant, like they're very wide, and man, I mean, I was turned on significantly listening to those guys talk about those kayaks. I was like, wow, man, we've made some serious headway with kayaks.
Yeah, I mean, Ben and I spent some time yesterday with Corey. Actually, for our kayak guys, I ate lunch yesterday. Well, they did most of the eating. I'm trying to, get kayak ready. So, but I hung out with Jody Quinn.
Time to get kayak
Time to
ready.
get kayak ready.
trying to
I
get
don't need no beach mod. I need that kayak mod, boy. But no, so I ate lunch with Jody Queen. Anybody on here that follows kayak fishing knows who Jody. He's the
Mhm.
goat. Corey, who I also think is another goat. And man, they convinced me. I think I'm going to save some money. And I'm going to pick one up and I'm going to go give her a shot. It just sounds like a ton of fun getting out there kayak fishing. A whole different world. I'm not going to quit doing the boat thing because I love it, but I'm going to give it a try. I know Corey's got some demo boats coming, and
Yeah.
he's going to get Ben Trey and I out there.
Yeah,
So
he is.
probably somebody will end up flipped.
I
Might be
will.
purposeful, might be on accident.
I don't know if we could make it work, but so my lake, you don't register kayaks, so we could just have a little kayak tournament.
Ooh.
Just launch from my
The
from my
grass when it touches me is scary though.
place.
touches
Well,
me.
don't flip, and then you have to worry about it touching you. The point is to stay in the kayak.
shoulders in the kayak, guys.
Is
Shoulders in the kayak.
Is that the key? Shoulders in the
Shoulders
kayak.
in, shoulders in. I have yet to flip my kayak.
Yeah, you better not.
Knock on wood
That's
here.
not real.
Now they do recommend you flip it when you first get it, so you
Yeah.
can know how to get in it. But I was like, I
In
don't want to get wet.
January.
Yeah, I got it in January. I was like, I'm not flipping my kayak. And then I got it outfitted with all my milk crates and all my stuff now, and I'm especially not going to flip it because I'm
Yeah.
going to lose everything.
Yeah.
So,
But I do think we talked about that on the episode with Corey, where he said, go out there with nothing on it and just jump out of it and get yourself back into it, because you can't always get back to the shore, depending on who you are. Like some people just aren't going to fish far from shore, so that, but I would still always practice, make sure you can get back into it and wear your PFD. For our North Carolina folks, there's been 3 drownings in the last
Yeah,
3 weeks
On
on
Jordan Lake.
Lake
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a jet skier that went missing and for some reason took their life vest off, and a couple of days later they unfortunately found him. We had a boat capsized with I think 4 guys in it.
Yeah.
One of those guys passed away.
Yeah.
And the
Bad deal.
story pretty much with all of those deaths and all the ones I can think back. I mean, every year there's at least one on Jordan. There's one theme to every single one. They're not wearing a PFD.
Correct.
And I'll tell a story real quick. These guys got to hear it last night.
By the way, wait, let's give a shout out to Big Pete.
Yeah, Big Pete, my dad.
So
Big Papa
Repeat
Pete.
is sitting right here on the couch. But Big Pete's dad is in there, and he's been
Yeah.
awesome the whole time. And you're gonna love this story.
So I was about, we were trying to figure the exact age. It's tough, but I was between 7 and 9 years old, and we have family up in Michigan, in the Detroit area, and we would go up there for Easter every year. So March, April, in that area, it's not long after ice off. If it gets ice, the river never got ice, but Lake Erie, it flows into there. We were right at the mouth of Lake Erie. I think the water temperature was probably 34. Air temperature was probably 34. My uncle had an old piece of junk boat. We were out there. We caught a pile of walleye. Great day. But the wind kicked up. Mouth of Lake Erie. Motor wouldn't start. Transom got to the rear. There was no holes in the transom to drain water. There was no working bilge pump in the boat because we didn't have money back then for any of that stuff. And we ended up sinking the boat. And I was the only one with a life jacket on. Thank God my dad and my uncle both survived by, I don't know, pure stupid luck. But I mean, I learned a valuable lesson that if I didn't have a life jacket on at 7 to 9 years old, I guarantee you, if they would have survived, I probably wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll never forget that cold water shock. I mean, I'm 37 years old now, and I still can think about it and remember it. And when I'm running my boat, I don't always fish when I'm fishing, always have one on. I try to if the water's cold, but if I'm running it with the big motor, whether in a tournament or not, I have my life vest on.
Yeah.
And anybody in a kayak, and Larry will tell you he does it. My wife kayak fishes. You know, we have a lot of friends that kayak fish. We've had some on the show. We have more coming. You'll watch the folks like Christine Fisher puts out a lot of kayak content. We're hoping to maybe get her on one day. One thing you'll notice with every single one of those folks is they're always wearing a PFD while they're in their kayak. And it's something that, because of my experience, I'm passionate about. And just knowing that there's so many preventable deaths every year locally. And then if you look at that on a national scale, and it's, I mean, you can get, Larry, I mean, you probably know a little bit more with like Academy, but I know they have some Coast Guard approved that are probably around $30, something like that for not obviously not inflatable, but you don't need all that.
You don't need all that. And if you feel like you do, don't be shy. Step up and pay that price point. I have an inflatable just because, moving around in the kayak, you're hunched over already. So the regular one, interrupts your casting and things like that. And I've heard a bunch of people say that before, but that's all the more reason to step up and get that inflatable or get something that you can fish in, that you can keep on comfortably all day. So you're not, getting out there and taking it off. And I do a lot of pond hopping. So even in those waters where it might not be any more than 12 foot deep, I'm still going to keep my life jacket on, like regardless, just because you never know what's going to happen. The one thing I will say about the inflatables, because I've got a manual inflatable, because I was scared if I got it wet, it's just inflated in the box. The one fear that I got is when I fish all over. So, I'm worried about falling out and hitting my head and not being able to inflate it.
Correct.
That's pretty much my biggest, all right, that's my worry,
I have those too. And I thought about that. I'm like, what if I get like whacked out of the boat going 55? And I'm like, I'm not conscious to
pull the
I don't wear an inflatable.
You don't?
Nope. I have a Mustang Survival regular zip up with 3 clips.
Well,
just because of that reason. I mean, the auto inflator great, but at $300 and some, I don't know that I want. I think my life's worth more than $300 and some, and I know if something happens and I go in the water,
$325.
at least $325.
Throw some change on there, man. An extra 50 cents.
At least know I'm gonna float, because that vest doesn't need to inflate.
I think one of the important messages to getting into the game of fishing, whether or not you're in a kayak or on a boat or whatever, training, right? Do some training. Like you talked about tipping your kayak over and getting back on your kayak. Obviously, don't do that in January unless you're doing those polar plunges and get after it, right? But I think that's important. Like we talk about so many things. You got to have a license to drive a car. You don't have to have a license to drive a boat, right? You don't have to have a license to drive a kayak. Get out there and do some training. Like look at some tutorials and some instructional videos and stuff. Heck, we can even put one together for you. Larry's going to go in January. You'll see him in the one.
Yeah, Larry's gonna do a polar plunge.
He's the guinea pig.
We're gonna.
We'll stand on the bank, making sure he doesn't die.
That's right. We're gonna tie a rope
Tie
on
a
his
rope to
waist,
me,
and then
yeah.
that way we can drag
But
him back in.
I think the point you guys made a great point. Like you have all the varieties of life vests, personal flotation devices, ones that are already good to go, ones that auto inflate on wetness, I guess, and ones that you have to manually pull. Figure out which one works best for you and get after it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Tim says, great show. Listen and learn something new each week. Don't remember what boat you guys fish out of. Thanks. So, Ben, you want me to start?
Go start.
So, I fish out of a Vexus 1980 aluminum rig.
Oh, I fish out of these boats right here.
Size 13.
Oh, they 16, buddy.
He's got that van boat right there.
Those are the boats I fish out of.
Those are 16s.
No, straight
God,
up,
I
man.
feel inferior.
No.
You know what they say about big feet?
You got
You
cute
got-
socks.
yeah.
Big socks. That's right.
And I'm pretty sure that's not the first time Trey's felt inferior. So,
Yeah, go-
Which you have a Pelican, right?
Yeah, I got a Pelican catch 110. It's about 10 and a half foot pedal drive. I've had a shoulder injury, so I had to get the pedal drive. Just it makes more sense. I can't paddle all day, but yeah, that's my baby.
Yeah, I'm running out a Triton 189 TRX.
I got the Icon before Jacob Wheeler. And,
OJW.
He's running a 450R on it.
yeah, I got a Tracker 195 with a 150. We all have 150s here, so
Except for Larry, he's got 16s.
Yeah. These 2 horsepower right here. That's all I got.
yeah, my
So-
boat's got 15s. No,
Yeah. So we, for me, the way I like to fish, I'm like a really, really, really super discounted Wish version of John Cox. Try to stay shallow, and I don't catch fish. I pretty
No.
much am terrible.
yeah,
but,
it's pretty bad.
I got a boat that can get me most places in the shallow water I want to go though. So, but no, I fish out of Ben's boat. I haven't fished out of Trey's boat yet. We've talked. I don't know if we've talked about it. I hope we have. It doesn't matter what you have, man, for a boat.
Look at Keith Poche, bro.
Yeah. Look,
Send
Keith
it.
O'Shea just won $300,000.
Out of an 18-foot boat.
Where what's
No,
that?
no,
That's $100,000 for
$100,000,
MLF out of an little over 18 foot.
Did he make the
aluminum
cut
boat.
today?
No,
No.
he was out of the cut today.
No.
but he was the last one out by 0.01 ounces.
Mm.
So he was right there.
Damn, if
That-
he would have had some land.
Good nut. Walleye.
That's impressive with him.
It is.
Like he fished MLF, won it, gave up his practice pretty much for fishing the classic, came over here the day after winning, and he didn't make the cut, but he was right there at the line.
Yeah, you figure. I think he fished Group A, so he fished Monday, Wednesday. So he got 2 days of practice, Sunday, Tuesday.
Okay.
Fished Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Won day one of Bassmaster Classic. Blasts off with them guys, and then fishes Friday, Saturday. So what's that? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You know what that is?
Like a lot of time.
$110,000.
That's what that was.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But still, like anybody here, whether you kayak fish, you boat fish, shore fish, I don't care what it is, and people that don't fish, if you happen to see this, it takes a lot out of you. Kayak, we talked with Corey, your core muscles because of the boat moving. On a boat, you're constantly adjusting, you're constantly moving around, doing things. It takes a lot out of you. So the stamina that guy has to be able to fish that many days in a row. Now, granted, a lot of practice is idling, but you're still up at the crack of dawn. You're going for as long as you can to try to find something to compete. And then you're fishing as hard as you can. I mean, and to get down to the nitty gritty of fishing at that level, Seth Feider, almost his whole career, fished bait caster like most folks do, right hand. Well, he's right-handed, retrieved left-handed with a spinning reel. He taught himself to fish left-handed with a bait caster because, and what do you call? You have a word for it, it's fuzzy math. But he figures he can make like 35 to 50 more casts a day by not having to switch hands, by being able to cast and immediately reel. So that's the kind of stuff people think about.
And you just talked about physical stamina for the most part.
Oh, the mental side.
Well, how about the mental? Yeah, you got to be burned out, man. Like granted, now he's going after 5 fish consistently now, right, between BPT and bass. But
I wonder how many straight days he fished. He's got to be, because you got to think MLF practice too. Like, was it 10, 14 days almost?
Yeah.
You're up to close.
Maybe
to
he's out
14
12
days.
out of 14 days of straight fishing.
yeah,
I mean,
He's-
after a 2-day tournament, you know, in maybe a day of practice, I'm exhausted of just a little club tournament or something.
yeah. I wonder if angler's blood dope. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I need to go ahead and draw 450 milligrams of blood before I go into this tournament,
bro.
and pop. You know, no, that's not. I mean, it's definitely not happening. But you got to think about it, like the physical part. I mean, hell, even standing in the expo for
Oh,
8
God.
hours, I feel like I'm 95.
But that floor is
No.
terrible. If anybody's ever, I'll give anybody listening to two things of advice. The first time I ever worked a show was not in the fishing industry, but I wore cowboy boots. Biggest mistake you ever make in your life.
And
Thought
a
I looked
big
good.
buckle.
My feet, yeah, big back. My feet have never been the same since, and that was like, I was like 17 years old or something when that
Golly.
happened. And then sit down when you can and wear comfortable tennis shoes. Get the most comfortable pair of tennis shoes you can get.
That's right.
And wear that.
Yeah.
And you know, when you need to walk around, but no expo in the world has good flooring. Buy if you can afford it, get the same whatever Toyota has in their booth at these events.
Yeah.
That's the floor you want.
or
bro.
just
What's
lay
Academy?
down.
The Academy is pretty
Oh, you
soft.
have some good
So
stuff.
we got
too.
some really plush carpet out there. It's
Yeah.
real nice. You
I
know.
walked that across this morning.
Yeah,
I'm like,
don't lay down. You'll go to sleep.
Yeah.
But speaking back to that, to the left-handed and retrieving right-handed, I keep 6 to 8 rods on there, and 3 of them are left-handed. Yeah, and one because I grew up spinning fishing spinning reels
Left-handed?
left-handed, and
Me
that's what my
too.
uncle taught me. He was like, you know, when you switch hands, you lose opportunity. So now though, with the fatigue, I'm casting all day right-handed. Okay, now I'm tired. Let me switch over with my left hand.
Oh, I never thought of that.
And then also when I reel with my left hand, I reel slower.
Okay.
So it's a little bit easier because I don't know about everybody else, but for me, as soon as I got onto the bait catchers, I was burning them baits. Like it was
God.
reeling too fast. I wasn't used to the ratio.
I feel
Yeah.
like talk to me, Goose. You know what I'm saying? Like talk to me. No, real talk. Like it makes a difference,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's those small victories
Yep.
that
And-
you capitalize.
And I'm right-handed anyway. So when I'm setting the hook, if I'm setting with my left hand, that's my weak hand. I want that fish to feel me too. So, gotta hit him with the right.
He said over the top.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Fair
Um,
talk.
well, we were talking about this last night. Casting, people switch hands, but there is something to be said if you're really right hand dominated and you're casting, you're controlling with your thumb.
Yep.
Or in your casting and accuracy too, right? To have that control, to have that pinpoint accuracy. There's a lot to be said by doing it with your dominant hand.
Yep.
And so why actually wouldn't you switch over your spinning reels to the right side instead if you're right hand dominant?
Yeah.
Instead of you switching, most of us probably use bait casters 80-90% of the time. Why wouldn't you switch something that you don't use as often to what you're used to for your dominant hand?
That's what always confused me is almost everybody you see will retrieve a spinning reel with their left hand and then switch to the right hand with a bait caster.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm not ambidextrous apparently at all.
Whoa,
But to
you
me,
said that right?
that was
That was
that was
good.
good. That was
My
good.
left hand is falling asleep right now.
that's
from
at
both
least
of us. I'm just
I know,
letting you
right?
know.
That's at least a 27-cent word. Though.
Although I did learn to pitch left-handed. So then there is no switching hands because when you're pitching, it could be immediately close contact, like because you don't have that long cast, that time to switch at
Yeah.
casting. Right. So you pitch left-handed, then you're just ready to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can control that pretty well.
Marcus makes sense. He says my spinning and casting both right hand and I'm right hand dominant. So yeah, you did flip everything around. I think Jacob Wheeler's another one. Because if you've ever there's a guy on TikTok that does the Alabama Bass Council. Have you ever seen him? He's funny. You
Yeah,
should look him up. He's funny, but he said something about Jacob Wheeler and the Alabama Bass Council. And if you reel your spinning reel with your left hand or with your right hand, we revoke your license to fish or something like that. It's pretty funny. You have to look it up. But Tim asked a question, and we'll all give you our opinion. He said, with the return of Uncle Josh and port trailers, have you guys tried their baits or are you using plastic trailers on jigs all year? Trey,
With the return of Uncle Josh.
do you even know what that is?
The pork rinds.
the pork
The
trailers.
the chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pork trailers. Have you guys?
So I haven't used any of their since they're back. So I guess you could put them on our snagless jigs just like you would a normal one. But I mean, our jigs with the EWG hook are designed right to
Yeah.
Texas trigger plastic, and you're right, they're very small. Like you just thread them on there, right? So yeah, you can do it. But it's not what the hooks are designed for.
I don't use pork trailers. I don't use
I've used pork chunks before on the old school.
What's the other
jigs.
one that everyone uses? I don't know
that
who's-
one.
Yeah, that square one with the legs that kick off that you just kind of like barely hook
Oh
it on.
yeah, I know.
I don't use
push
that one.
washes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use those. I don't.
They call them chunk trailers. I think
Yeah.
every soft, pretty
Chunk.
much every soft plastic manufacturer has
Zoom
them.
chunk is like
Yeah.
a-
I'm not gonna say they don't work because clearly they do. I don't feel like that's a natural presentation for me, and I guess it boils down to confidence. So I
You use
really
them all there?
No, I don't use them at all. I probably am like abnormal from everybody and use different trailers from different stuff. I'm pretty basic when it comes to it, but I just could put fish in the boat. That's all.
That's right. Now I will use a chunk in cold water
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's the only
just
time I've
because
done it.
it's,
But
it's a lot more subtle of a presentation. There's a lot less movement,
yeah.
and that stuff they're eating isn't moving as much, so it can be a little bit more natural. I know, like Trey said, but in cold water, it just has a much more natural because it moves super slow. You're not
It
getting any
does.
flapping really.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there. Cold water fish eat stuff that's just kind of there
Yeah,
you know?
I like to put a worm
Most
on
of
the
the
back
time.
of a jig.
most of the time. Yeah.
I like to take a worm, like I'll insert whatever worm you want to, Bizbaits, right? Like Bizbaits worms or some of the Sixth Sense worms. Like I like to put those on the back of a jig in the cold water because they're not nearly as aggressive. You can put some of the smaller ones on. Heck, you could put a TRD on, I guess, if you wanted to, or something like that. But I'll put those on the back of a jig and I'll just drag them real slow across the bottom in the cold water.
yeah, wintertime I use a lot of the same style baits, but what I look for is I want a brand or a company that produces a thicker like profile in the-
Plastic,
in the
Yeah.
so think like a beaver creature bait.
Yeah.
So those tails, appendages on the rear, I want a thicker version so they don't flop around as much in that cold water.
Something heavier.
Also, salt. A lot of salt helps, right? Because it helps
It
keep it
does.
down, so it doesn't move as much, right? A little more natural in that cold water.
Yeah.
Now, hot water, I want very thin appendages and a lot of that action.
Yeah.
Just the opposite.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Once it starts to warm up the spawn,
Mhm.
pre-spawn, those fish are feeding. I want as much movement as I can get out of a bait. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're pretty similar
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. Wanted to be moving, kicking, dancing, twerking, all of that stuff.
But isn't it funny though how you'll throw like a Ned rig and it doesn't move? Like it's a turd and it just doesn't move. There's no action and there's like, yep, I want
Yep.
that. I don't know what that is, but I want it.
Mhm.
Right. I'm gonna eat that.
Sometimes just those unassuming things.
It
If you
is.
think about like a wacky rig
Like-
and guys, gals, whoever that are really good at fishing a wacky rig, like they'll pitch that joker out there, let it sink to the bottom, and then they'll eat a sandwich while it's just sitting there. And they'll just wait for that fish to come and eat that. Literally, they call it a stick bait because it looks like a stupid stick.
Yeah.
But a fish will swim by and go, huh, and eat that thing without it moving.
I
Can
wonder
you make
if
that sound again?
That's that.
Brian said back when he was back in the day, they didn't have all the soft plastic creature baits then. There is an abundance of soft plastic creature baits. Pick your poison, whatever you think
Yeah.
works best for you. Guys and gals were asking me that today. Like, what do you throw on the back of your jig? And I'm like, I have my preference, like whatever works for you. If you have confidence in it, throw it. It doesn't matter,
Mm.
That's really what it comes down to. Like, if you have a bait and a trailer that you're confident in, throw it. And like Trey was saying, and we've all seen it, every store, every brand, everybody with a garage and a microwave makes soft plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it this way. What's your favorite trailer to throw on the snagless flipping jig?
It's the Berkeley Maxent trigger
Maxent?
crawl.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Sixth Sense.
6 cents.
I gotta go
Or
with
Bizbait.
the
Chunky
Kraken
D.
Crawl.
Kraken Crawl.
Kraken
Crawl.
I like the Berkeley Maxent, and then I like the Rage Bug.
Rage
Bug's a good one
Yep.
too. Although the goat, I've been messing with the goat from Z-Man. And the
Yes.
baby goat, I'm starting to
Yes.
like that
Well,
one.
the
a
baby
lot more.
goat's great for the. I throw that in the Ned rig all
Ned
the
rig.
time.
Yep.
But I, you know what? I should try the actual.
I
big goat.
I have the goat that I'll throw in a crawl. It's nice.
You know, so the Yum Spine Craw and then the Zoom Junior Craw, like the Christie
Christy
Craw.
Craw just came up.
Yeah.
Brian
Yeah,
said.
Christie Craw. Christie
It's a great
Craw is
bait.
a phenomenal bait, right? And if you put the Christie Craw up against a couple other soft plastic manufacturers, you're going to see very serious similarities, right? Minus the little legs that come off the side. But those are great, man. Those are great for flipping. Not so much through like real thick stuff because they'll get wrapped around the grass, but those are great trailers. And I totally forgot about those. I have about 400 packs on my wall. I should use them.
Yeah, you should.
I should
Yeah.
do that instead of buying more beep while we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So football jig. I mean, I throw the same craw on both. I don't change it up a whole lot. Sometimes I'll put a D bomb on a flipping.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I
like
guess
on a
I should
flipping
say
jig.
sometimes I should say I also like, well, the craw we used to have, but basically a pack of craw.
Mhm.
That hollow body craw too.
Man,
yeah.
them Packers have a ton of action.
I actually
they
throw them a lot on swim jig, and in some scenarios with a Snaggle swim jig, I'll rip the skirt off
Mhm.
and I'll
Mhm.
just put that pack of craw on there
Yeah.
and swim that. And
Have you fished any of our Snaggles jigs without a skirt yet?
I have not. I've been looking at it though, and I saw some videos the other day of people fishing swim jigs without a skirt, and I was like, that is a great idea, especially during the wintertime when you need to downsize and get rid of all that movement that the skirt does.
That's right.
That's a killer right there. I need to get on it. I will say this though, going back to confidence. I got to thank you guys because I couldn't look at a Ned rig without getting it mangled up before. Like
Yeah.
it would be standing in the corner and get tangled up. So, and I'll be 100% honest with you. As soon as I got the one cast Ned, the snagless Ned or weedless Ned, whichever one you want to go with, I keep one tied on. Matter of fact, I got two tied on right now. And I throw that thing throughout the year.
Mhm.
And for multi-species, white bass, crappie, big bass, whatever. And I'm throwing it right on their head in the thickest of stuff,
Yeah, and it, from 3/32 all the way up to a quarter ounce in those weedless net heads. And one of the things that I did this winter was I almost Demiki rigged them, right, with like a junior fluke, like a baby fluke, or a soft plastic that I got from Michigan. I have no idea what the manufacturer's name was, but I'd sit there and vertically jig it. On forward facing sonar, I would vertically jig that and it would crush, man. You'd get crappie, you'd get largemouth and stuff like that. So imagine doing that on a spotted bass or a smallmouth lake.
that weedless net is so versatile. 'Cause
It
I
is.
keep one tied ear on. In the wintertime, I'm fishing offshore brush piles with it,
Mhm.
an 8 ounce and 20 foot. In the summertime, I'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
But in the
And
spring,
I've witnessed it.
yeah,
Like wild. I never in my life would have imagined fishing
an 8 ounce.
below 50-degree water in like 25 foot of water in brush piles, a Ned rig, and been catching fish. It
Yeah.
was like this.
And
It's
not-
just not something people have
Not
done.
just fish, but like 5 and 6
fish, yeah,
pounders.
like good fish.
And in the spring, right? Obviously, you're flipping shallow. But another good way to use it around the spawn is I'll put on a little 2.8, 3-inch swim bait on it.
Mhm.
And so I'll just be casting around like a swim bait, just reeling it through grass cover and all. But if I see a bed, it just drops right on
Right
top
on.
of it.
Yeah.
And there's something about a little white swim bait
Yeah.
falling on a bed. If there's a bass there, it's hard for them to resist.
Folks, you have no idea the juice that Ben just gave y'all. So anybody that listens to that, that's something I've been doing for a long time, and I know other folks have. That's a ticket in the spawn because sometimes those fish can be hard, but a lot of times if you rind in that swim bait over the top and just kill it and it falls down, they can't help it.
Yeah.
And then if it's in between beds, right, you're still casting along, so you get those, those girls or guys cruising around. Some of those, ones looking for a bed and they're still willing to eat. Like you're getting some bona fish by using the same bait. You don't have to pick up anything else off your deck or off the bank or grab another rod from behind you in the kayak. Right, it's very versatile to be able to do it that way.
I see
So
Marcus
Josh-
commented on the Ned rig. Yeah, man.
So Josh said up north in Massachusetts, spring and fall pork was the go-to before the popularity of plastics. I remember older guys taking razor blades, making modifications of the pork. I think the salty pork tasted natural to the bass. Not to mention a pork trailer lasted all day too. Yeah, I mean,
It would last all.
it was the trailer of trailers back when the popularity was there. What's going on? Classic, yeah. But
Charles.
not to cut off what we were talking. So plastics, scent technology, salt infusion into plastics. It all, that was all stuff that you were getting naturally with the pork trailers, like you said, Tim. But you don't really need it now. I mean, there's plastics like look at Z-Man with the Elastec. They infuse it with the salt. You're still getting salt flavor. They're infusing them with scent now that are lasting significantly longer. You're right. You don't get the durability out of it, but I mean, a can of Uncle Josh's back in the day was like $2.99, $3 for whatever was in there. You still you forgot to take it off your hook. If you get it off the hook,
Yeah. That's
put it back in the jar. I mean, you were still only getting 1 day out of it anyway. So you're paying back then. I mean, $2.99 or so for a jar. That was expensive. And if you, like I said, with a barb and everything, if you could get it off the hook and put it back in, you might get a couple days. But if you forgot to do that, that joker dried up, and then it was never coming off the hook. So then you were out of jig too. But yeah, so I think the scent, and that's why I really like, and I know that's why Ben likes the Berkeley. Say what you want about them, but those scientists legitimately, and if you ever get a chance to come to one of these shows, they usually have some of their scientists there. Those dudes live and breathe figuring out how to make fish bite stuff, hold on to it longer. Like they nerd out to that stuff. No offense to any scientists out there, but like it's super exciting to them.
That's a compliment to them, by the way.
And with that, let's nerd out for a second. But if you guys like using scents, make sure you check your scent to make sure it's not oil based and it's water soluble. There's a lot of scents out there like Anson's oil and stuff. Smells good. It's been used forever. What happens when you put oil in water?
Separates.
It doesn't mix. Yeah, right. So that scent that's in that oil is not diffusing through the water column because it's the properties of it. So if you get a water soluble one, then that scent's actually going to go out there and do something.
It's the same thing when you dump your two-stroke in the back of your gas.
Your gas.
Hey, is that oil slick normal?
Yeah.
Don't you pay no mind to that, boy.
Hey,
She's good.
Brian talked about wishing the hooks were a touch bigger on the Ned rig.
We hear it all the time.
There's a lot of it's interesting when the Snagless series came out, we hear a lot of that feedback, like, the gap between the hook point and the bottom of the hook isn't wide enough for me. But when I fish a drop shot, I use a micro hook. When I catch king salmon in the Manistee River in Michigan, I use a micro hook. And it's all preference, right? Like some people like a really giant extra wide gap 5/0 hook. I don't throw 5/0 hooks. I throw 3s, right? That's 3s. Being that there's no industry standard for the size of hook, right? It's just usually generality. Like everyone kind of makes the same size 3/0, same size 4/0, and so on and so forth. But it all is personal preference. And we got a lot of good feedback today on the weedless Neds. And one of the customers talked about like how he preferred our weedless Neds because the hook diameter was smaller around, rather than like other competitors, right? And so it's all preference, right, Brian? So, that's really what it boils down to. Whatever you have confidence in, throw that. You know what I mean?
DC did say that ain't it spray.
What?
Yeah, he slipped up a little bit. But before we go too far, do you use any scent, Larry? Do you add scent to anything or?
The most I'll use is like maybe a spike it or something like that, but not like any of the newer. I've seen some of the bait fuel and things like that. Yeah. I've heard about it and saw the YouTube videos. It is water soluble, so that is a good point. But I just haven't had the opportunity to pull the trigger on it and try it.
Yeah,
the bait fuel is great. It's not going to attract fish, but a lot like Berkeley does with their Max Scent, when they pick it up, they hold on to just that extra, second and a half, whatever it is, to give you time to make sure they get it in there and jack it. And it's pretty cool. And we're not anyway fit with them, but for bed fishing, I don't think there's a better scent out there if you're not using something max scent than the bait fuel, because when they do pick that up, and I did it in a tournament on Lake James last year, it was a bed fishing tournament. Like I kept having them just grab the tail, carry it off the bed, throw it. We didn't have the long neck hooks back then. Would have helped with that. But I had bait fuel, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this stuff. And as soon as I made that switch, you would watch them pick that tail up and then go, and they would suck it the rest of the way in their mouth to carry it off the bed. And I was able to get hooks in them. Now it could have been some with the weather or whatever, but to me that was enough of a selling point. If I only ever used it bed fishing, then that's what it's good for. That's what I'm going to use it for. But you see guys up north like smallmouth fishing, drop shotting. JT Kenny's big on it with a drop shot. I think when he filmed all the promotional stuff for it, they were drop shot fishing. So
I think a lot of folks with the Ned rig are used to that exposed hook and the almost instant hookup. Like as soon as they hit it, hook up. I know I found for me that if I give them that like half a second more after I feel the bite and then set the hook, like I say, and I use it for multi-fishing.
Like a Texas rig, right?
Yep, just like a Texas rig. Give it a second and just.
Let's talk about the Ned for a second, because Brian's got some comments there too. Hey, Brian, so it's interesting. If you take the actual Z-Man Ned and look at the overall length of the hook, ours are almost like identical, like that space between the offset and where the point comes out. If the hooks were longer, then you'd be easier to use some bigger profile creature baits and all. But a lot of those little Z-Man, like what's the little craw one that I use?
The TRD craw.
Yeah, the TRD craw.
Yeah.
If that gap, that distance between the offset bend and that hook point's even more than that, a lot of those little bitty finesse baits, you're not going to be able to Texas rig them on there because you can't get in the back end. But like I said, it's all preference. And with the net, actually with all our hooks, with the offset bend and the way our hook point kind of angles slightly down, they operate a lot like a circle hook. And so you don't need a hard hook set. A lot of them you can just lift up, especially on the nets, lift up. And that's why a lot of times you'll see with our jigs and our neds, they're cooked in the corner of the mouth, right? Because of the way they're designed, they operate a lot like a circle hook.
Yeah,
I call it throwing a jab versus a hook, or uppercut. Like you don't have to set. The
I don't even set the hook with a Ned rig or like drop shot or anything. I pretty much just wind into him with that finesse stuff and pick the rod tip up.
Almost like you're fishing a drop shot in open water.
Exactly. Just wind and pick the rod up.
Let me do it again.
It puts it right where it needs to be.
Okay.
And on that, Brian said that may be the problem, not waiting with a Ned. A Ned's a lot like a jig, and I never understood how to verbalize this to somebody, teaching my wife how to fish a jig. Well, how do you tell the difference between a rock or a tree and a fish? Because it's all feeling bottom. You sort of figure out structure, but a bite is kind of hard to explain. But she did some promotional stuff with Jamie Hartman the other day. Anybody knows Jamie the Hammer Hartman? He's a jig guy. He throws them all the time, and he said you'll feel them picking it up. That's when they open their mouth and they suck it in. So I know what that feels like, right? And then once they get it in their mouth, you'll feel them reposition it as they're getting ready to swallow it. That's that tick, tick, tick that we described everything. So if you kind of do the same thing with the Ned rig, you're going to feel them pick it up, that, when they suck it into their mouth, and then they're going to reposition it. And when you feel that tick, 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 that's when you're going to set, you're going to wind in. I just wind into them. If you want to try jacking them, by all means, do that. And I have jacked them with our weedless Neds, and they hold up just fine. Because
you just got to be careful though, because they'll suck that right down in their crushers real quick.
Oh yeah.
So it's timing. It's like a frog bite, like a 2,000 count, and then set the hook. You know what I mean? So it's all it's just playing around with it.
And this, I'll preach it again. This is when a quality rod. People ask me all the time, if you were going to spend money on a rod versus a reel, I'm going to spend the money on a rod every single time. Because if you have a quality rod that is sensitive, some of you are saying, well, you're probably thinking, I've never felt a fish suck a jig in or pick it up off the bottom. It's the rod more than anything. It's not you. I promise you, if you go to a rod, when I finally started buying good rods, like well-made rods with good blank material, and they were cash, and they were the first expensive rod I ever bought. The things that I can feel now, I'm like, man, did I miss this stuff up? And I can promise you that since switching, there are fish that 5 years ago I never would have caught them because I wouldn't even known that they
thought you were like, oh, there's a rock.
Yeah, there's a rock or something. Now I can feel that, and then they inhale that bait, and you can feel those first as they're readjust. Now that I know what that is, before it was just them eating it, but now that it makes more sense having that explained to me, I feel that now. Where before, like Trey said, when all you would feel is you're dragging that jig, you might feel that little tick tick tick. And you're going, well, there's a couple little rocks I'm dragging it through,
Yep.
and so you just drag it right out
Right
of
out
their
of
mouth.
their
You
mouth.
never set the hook.
Yep.
So a quality rod, if you're gonna spend money on anything, and obviously we love cash in here. Buy a quality rod, whatever brand you like. If you have a deal with somebody, buy the most expensive rod you can buy. There's some really, really good reels out there that are far less expensive that'll get you on the water, and then eventually you can upgrade that. Tim had another question. We're gonna let Larry answer this one first.
Oh man.
With the
Well,
recent popularity,
Hey, you didn't finish. You didn't ask Ben if he throws cents.
doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
With recent popularity, no. Do you throw any cents, Ben? I know
Yeah.
you did some bait fuel because I
fuel.
hooked you up with some.
Yeah, well, and then with the one you gave me had a broken lid, and then all evaporated out over the course of 4 months.
Yeah.
Sounds
So-
about right.
That was strategic.
But no, when we went to Harris filming the content stuff, we did put some on, and so, but I don't have a strong opinion as to how much more it increased. I just haven't used it up. I think
Yeah.
you're exactly right. It's not an attractor
Yeah.
in the sense of it's going to bring fish from miles away to it.
Yeah.
It's just that little bit extra to help them hold on a little bit longer because maybe it tastes familiar to them.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just make one that's like super glue. Then they just can't let it go.
Well, I mean, there are some that are
Yeah,
like,
you can
there's
have rocks and trees
some-
coming
there's some
up.
gels that last a lot longer. Like,
Yeah.
and I can't think of the name of them now. I have a pile of them in my boat, and I can't think of the brand. But it's more
Like Thumper Gel. I think Thumper Gel has
Procure. That's it.
Procure.
It's a more of a thick gel, so I'll use it a lot on spinner baits and stuff because you can get it onto the head and it'll last 20, 30 casts.
Yeah, that's the only problem I have. What I don't know, and no one's really published yet, I don't know, or at least I haven't seen, is how long do these gels and all that, when you put it on the bait, does it actually last?
60 seconds.
With that one, you can really tell because it's a darker color. So when you put it,
Yeah.
you can actually see as it kind of wears off.
Yeah.
But back to Tim's question before we go off on scent tangents for the rest of the night. The recent popularity of the French side. Have any of you tried them? And
Hell
what are your
yeah.
opinions? Flat crankbaits versus more of a traditional shaped body.
I have actually just picked up my first Fritz side. Don't hate me. Don't be mad. I'm
welcome,
excited
David.
to use it. But I am still, is it a bait to catch fish or is it a bait to catch fishermen? That's that's the constant battle.
Hey, last year I caught some good fish off of them.
So yeah, and that's why I say, but is the movement that much different than a regular like lipless crankbait? Is it?
So I
is it
will
a
say
swing
that
or-
day we were on Falls. I had a co-angler with me. He was going to fish for the tournament. He caught a couple small fish with the Ned rig,
Uh-huh.
right? Ones that he cast where I just cast a crankbait. They didn't pick it up, but the 4 and 5 pound fish we caught were on the Fritz side.
Because it's nothing more than a war pig with a
It's just
lip, right?
Yeah, flat-sided
Pretty much.
crankbait.
That's a little bit different. So when you look at short billed crankbaits, whether it be a square bill or round bill, things like that, they tend to have a tighter wobble. But when you start to get a bigger body because of resistance to water, I'm not a scientist, so I can't tell you exactly. That fatter body, even in a square bill, you're going to get a little bit more hunt out of it. So by narrowing that up and making it more, it wouldn't be aerodynamic, it would be whatever aerodynamic in water means.
Yeah.
You don't get that
Water
hunting at
dynamic.
What is it,
water
hydrodynamic?
hydrodynamic. Yeah,
There we go.
let's go with that, bro. Yeah.
It's
So it's
NC
more,
State
I don't know
education
if
right
that's
there.
right, but that's what we're calling it from now on. So since it's more hydrodynamic, the water flows over it, so you don't get as much hunt. And again, we talked about like the chunk trailers with a jig and the subtle less movement. That cold water as it's warming up, the bait fish aren't as active. They're not darting and doing that as much. So that thinner profiled bait stays tighter to the wobble, and even when it kicks off stuff, it's not going to deflect as hard.
Right.
It's going to be a more subtle
Which
deflection.
Which
And
is
that's a lot of
crazy.
times
That's
when they're gonna eat
popular, right, for winter fish. But what else is also popular for wintertime fish? Old school bait, old school crankbait,
it. No, the wiggle wart.
the wiggle wart. And
Which
what
is
was
a
the thing about the
complete
wiggle wart?
Wide.
It is
Wide,
wide
wide.
and
Yeah.
erratic and also
So that's why I
preference.
That's why I throw a Fritz side all year long. Like
No, they'll work on it.
I'll throw a variety, but I mean the first big fish I caught this year was on a Fritz side. It was 8 pounds, right? And you can catch an 8 pounder on a a candy worm from the Dollar General. It doesn't matter. I like throwing them because I feel like they're more natural. Like the profile of the bait matches a skinny shad flying through. I've never seen a fat shad.
Flying?
I'm
Like a
feeling inferior
really
now.
wide, fat threadfin shad. I've never seen one, but I catch them on it too.
I know Trey said he felt inferior. Now I feel inferior because he just said you can catch an 8-pounder on a candy worm from the gas station.
Well,
No big deal. Like he's just out here filling the boat full of them 8-pounders.
It's the Dollar General. But
Little
see, I
DG.
just we had this conversation today with some of the guys at the expo. Like they asked, like, what crankbait do you like to throw? I like to throw Fritz side all year long. It just catches them for me.
You're also everybody as summer, spring, water warms up, starts throwing those that hunt more. They deflect more.
Yeah.
They have more of an action. So you're almost, by sticking with that, you're almost finesse crankbaiting those fish. If you think about it that way.
I just like them.
They're a great bait.
Yeah.
They're well built, and there's other brands that have them that are catching up that are just as good.
Thomas
but
is right. It's silent, right?
they'd have both. They
Yeah,
have,
you're
silent,
right.
they have
Yeah.
silent and I think they have one with a rattle now. But the original one, when everybody went crazy, and wasn't it Ott that won the
Yeah.
classic down here?
Yep.
Was the Fritz side, and then you couldn't find him anywhere for like 2 years because he
Yeah.
smoked everybody. The
I
old
have
River
4
Rat
of
did.
them. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
They got him at Academy.
They got.
Let's go see
Quick
Larry.
little plug.
So we're gonna. If you have questions, get them in. We went. We're
Yeah,
gonna.
we got a
about
real
an
ones.
hour, but good line for fluorocarbon.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go down the list here. I'm a gamma guy. Gamma fluorocarbon. It's the best I've used. I've tried them all. For me, anybody on here it's gonna hate. That is what has worked the best for me. Is
We
Gamma.
love Dale, dude.
And Dale's great.
Dale's great.
Yeah, if you ever
Come
get the chance to you're at a show in Gamma's there and you meet Dale Knight, you'll probably try Gamma.
He
'cause he's
doesn't
just
have a beard anymore.
no
It's
freaked
scary.
me.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was.
I didn't even know it was him.
Face off.
I'm like, who's this dude in the Gamma jersey? And then he turned. I was like, I haven't seen Dale's face because he was looking like a homeless Santa Claus. Dale, if you do happen to watch this, you said you were looking a little rough, and I agree. But I loved it. I think it fit him just
Yeah.
because of the guy Dale is. But that for me, Gamma, you can check them out at Gamma Fishing Line. It's the best fluorocarbon I've used, and I use their braid too. Good stuff, Larry.
Oh man, I'm all over the board. I haven't found one that I really like.
Because you haven't tried Gamma yet.
That's true. That is true. I'll give him that. Touche. But fluoro is definitely the way to go with sensitivity, feel, it disappears under the water. Yeah.
Abrasion
I-
resistance.
abrasion resistance, because I do braid 90% of the time on
Yeah.
90% of my rods, but I definitely have a fluoro leader.
You and I are the same way. That's how I run my stuff.
Yeah.
80% of my stuff is braid
Ben
to leader.
runs whatever fluoro is on sale, and he reties once every 7 years.
No,
we're not
no,
gonna
no.
skip
Try.
I've got 1,000-yard spools of P-line.
that were on sale.
P-line fluorocarbon. Yeah.
But he also doesn't retie. So
Yeah. No, do you run P-line fluoro or P-line fluoro coated?
I've got both.
he's
Yeah.
gonna yeah.
And that's where I'm at, right? Like I have P-line tactical fluorocarbon, and then I have the P-line fluoro coated. And I prefer the fluoro coated. I feel like the memory is way reduced
Mhm.
in the fluoro coated. Like when I cast it out, it's not like, oh, you see all the memory. The fluoro coated, the P-line fluoro that you get from Tackle Warehouse, wherever you order from, anywhere from 6 all the way up to 20-pound tests is what I prefer.
Yeah, I mean, the and for those who don't know, so pure fluorocarbon, next to no stretch, does have a lot of not it. So there, I'll educate a little bit here. So there's that fluorocarbon actually has more stretch than monofilament. It's just the stretching point is significantly higher.
Yeah.
So essentially, by the time you get to the point where you're gonna stretch fluorocarbon, it's just gonna break.
Yep.
Fluorocarbon has super high abrasion resistance. It sinks. It tends to be stronger at lighter weights. It's almost completely invisible in the water.
Mhm.
Trey's talking about like in the fluoro-coated line, that's a monofilament core coated in the fluorocarbon. So you still get the abrasion resistance. You get the stretch of the mono. It does sink because of the fluoro,
Not as fast.
but it doesn't have memory as bad as fluorocarbon. If you're going to go straight fluorocarbon, and I'm almost 100% straight fluoro, with the exception of spinning rods and a few other applications like frogging.
Yeah.
If you're in Australia, I tie straight to my lure. I don't use fluorocarbon. But sorry, we'll go into that one day.
Yeah.
make sure you buy a line conditioner if you're
Yeah.
going to use straight fluoro, and treat your it the first time when you spool it, spray it about 4 times, let it completely dry. After that, every time I use them, or if I'm rigging the night before for a tournament, I'll give it a spray or two. It'll help take that memory out of it, and you don't have to worry. Ben's not going to do all that.
Ben-
I'm
He
gonna say it.
literally, the first snagless jig ever produced, he never even retied it for like 3 years. He finally broke it off. Somehow that fluorocarbon, it was dry rotted.
It's because I know how to tie knots.
It looked like it was like full of
Boy
Copenhagen.
Scouts.
I don't know what was going on. His floor
True, I was.
basically turned
That's what I'm
black.
saying.
Speaking
Like-
of Copenhagen, and I feel left out.
I don't know how we got. I was getting to you. Oh, go.
I just feel inferior that you didn't ask me if I use scents,
Did I not? You yelled at me for not asking Ben. I thought you did.
and then you didn't ask me.
Oh,
Here-
what did you use for scents, Trey?
Well,
Did you use any
it
scents?
used to
Trey?
be
Trey,
Red
you
Man. Used to be Red
Red
Man,
Man was your scent,
right?
Yeah. I was the
Spit it
same
on
way
there.
back in the
But
day.
I don't know if I. It's just hard for me to believe in it because I haven't seen it really work. But I have a whole thing in Bayfield. Too,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I will be putting it on. Right, like it happens.
I'm the
so.
only one that doesn't have any bait fuel. No one's giving me.
I'll give
We
you.
got
I'll
this
give you
later.
half my.
I got
I'll
about-
give you half a handle.
I was about to say I'm about to get one with an open
I
case
got about
already.
17 jugs of it. I gave Ben the other one with a broke top, so you'll be good.
Oh, there we go.
You'll get
All right.
some. I thought he would put it in a different container. Apparently, he doesn't retie, so he's busy on his phone now.
Yeah, I had a message for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell him we love him. Bass HQ did a test on fluoro for the money. The Guggen fluoro performed best for the money out of about 20 or 25 brands. I didn't see it. Might need to check it out. It's Guggen, so it's probably Seagar or somebody rebranded. You know, that's not the Bash Guggen. I'm sure there's some folks out there that love their baits, but a lot of their stuff, you know,
While
they
they
buy it
last.
from the factories. We got some juice going with the Guggen. You got some inside info you want to share there, Larry?
Well, I mean, nothing too inside. I mean, everybody knows, you know, they're great baits, but they tear up pretty easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They definitely do. I throw a crack and crawl, but I have to throw probably a whole pack. You know.
Yeah,
They're
it's a
much
great. It's a
soft-
great business model, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, keeps you coming back.
You know, and I'm not a huge Guggen guy, not a huge supporter of them, all that stuff. But there are times when I have a super, super tough bite that I'll put a Bandito bug on. And I feel like because it is such a soft plastic, there's something about the movement in that bait because it's more supple, whatever it is, that you'll get bit on it when they might not bite another craw bait or another beaver bait or whatever it is you're doing.
But that is not before you throw a missile D bomb.
No, missile D bombs on the deck at all times. Like that's
That's
the numero uno, and last ditch resort. I'm digging that Bandito bug up and giving
Yeah.
her a try.
I actually don't own a single Guggen bait. I've never thrown
Yeah.
anything except for one rattling Ned turd that somebody gave me one time, and I never caught anything on it.
And the,
I'm
the,
not
other,
going to say that they don't catch fish. Anything can catch fish.
the only reason I bought some Bandito bugs was because I was fishing with somebody, and it was down here. They were in the back of the boat and they had them, and we were flipping basically the exact same color profile. They were getting bit and I wasn't. And I said, "Hey, let me try one of those." And it was like the second flip.
Yeah.
Of course, the bait was destroyed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, so I end up buying a couple packages. And now it's one of those baits, like I said, if I can't get bit on what I'm really comfortable with, then I'm going to make it switch and I'll go to that. And I feel like, you know, every once in a while on a tough bite, it'll work. Any of you guys pour your own plastic baits? No, I don't, Tim. I know Ben doesn't. Trey, you pour anything, Larry?
No, I'm too busy fishing.
Yeah.
It's something I'd like to get into, but I barely
John
get to fish
Cruz
now,
can
so
have all his plastics poured
I-
for me, and we'll just
I
go
would
ahead and
gladly just give my money to Missile Baits
Yeah.
and have them delivered to my house and packaging. And yeah, they catch fish. So
that's right. And if you haven't got your hands on some D bombs, like you're missing out.
yeah, they catch a bunch of big fish. I mean, they're a great bait. Ben, would
Great trick worms for a shaky head.
any of
What's
you
that one?
So I'm kind of out of it. I had a message here when we sent an order out this week. I guess one of the 4-op packs were in the wrong bin, so I got to send another one out to the guy.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That's
not a
right
big
there.
deal. Our fault. We'll send it
Look.
out, no cost. But that's what I was doing on my phone
That's
here.
the customer service you get. Ben ignored us in our live for our podcast and took care
Yeah.
of a customer.
It's
So-
not OnlyFans. It's taking care of Rick, great worms for Shaky Head. Which ones are great? Is that a question or is that a
great
statement?
trick. I think
Oh,
we were talking
You guys were
about.
talking about
I
something.
think we were talking about Guggen. So are you using Rick, Pepsi Rick? Are you using the? I shouldn't have giggled. There's a story behind that. We'll go into it one day. I'm gonna get Rick to come talk to y'all because he's a great dude.
Yeah.
Guggen. So the Guggen trick worms on the Shaky Head. Yeah, I mean, I threw some of
I
their.
didn't know they had them.
What's the big old the Mondo, worm?
Mondo
yeah,
worm?
the 10-inch Mondo, yeah.
I've never gotten bit, but I threw some. I tried them, but they look good.
Yeah.
I don't see why they wouldn't
They-
get bit. I think Chelsea, didn't you catch like a 7+ on a Guggen Shaky Head worm? Yeah, in a tournament. The only
She's
fish we
saying
caught.
yes.
It's for those sweet mouth bass that like licorice. That's what they.
Ooh.
Man,
That's what that good
They,
stuff's
they
for.
do
Hey,
smell
your
good.
dad
yeah.
has licorice in the truck. Should we
Yeah.
go ahead and put a long neck hook on that?
Just go
And
find
just
a pond and
drag it?
chuck her in there, see what
That's what
happens.
I
Yeah.
use. the
But you
long
said
necks
we
for.
can catch 8-pounders on a candy worm, so why not licorice?
7.98.
He was saying
7,
twit, but
seven-
they gotta be red licorice.
7.15.
You can catch them on a Fritz side. And in fact, I was fishing with a high school Bassmaster angler that we had on the podcast. If you haven't checked that out, go back to the one cast on any of your media platforms and check out that episode where we talked to the high school Bassmaster angler.
Yeah, yep. And we all got an early morning, so if you got any last minute questions, get them in. We're gonna get Larry back on because he has a really cool job and how he got in the fishing industry, and that's something that we talk a bunch about is different ways to get into it, and so we want to go into that. We don't really get into that a whole bunch on our lives, maybe one of these days, but yeah, we'll get into it one day. Greg, what's going on, buddy? We use a lot of watermelon here in South Florida. Yeah, watermelon in Florida. That's one of those deals like peas in a pod.
Okeechobee
Man.
craw and watermelon.
Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
blue on Okeechobee.
Yeah.
With the popular Singos, do you guys throw any copycat Singos? The only Singo out there anymore is the 48 by Missile. I mean,
I throw the clout by 6 cents. I love those.
yeah, they're all about the same.
I'll throw that bargain brand yum sometimes.
Yeah.
The old Yum Dinger?
the old
Oh,
Yum
dude,
Dinger.
what was it? The Bass what is it? Bass Pro Shops had like that value pack.
Yep,
of
they're like
stick baits?
60.
I'll throw those too. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'll let the bass tell me if they don't want to eat the cheap stuff or they're bougie for the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like I said, I like the 48. It's got a slightly different profile.
Yeah.
Trey saw me throw them when we fished last year.
Yep.
Just a preference deal and supporting a company that I like. Let's see. Y'all think John Cox can cover the 6-pound deficit tomorrow? Do you think Gussie's smallmouth school will produce again? We're gonna go down the line here. I 100% believe Gussie's school is going to produce again. There's no reason to say it's not. It did 2 years ago, a month earlier, in the exact same spot, and he won a tournament. He had apparently 3 boats sitting on it when he got there this morning. He still produced. Unless that for some reason that school just completely abandons where he's on them, and he doesn't catch at least 12 pounds, then maybe Cox can catch him. The thing with Cox, I think almost all his weight today was largemouth, and that I don't know if that's the bite you want to chase to try to win on the Tennessee River.
No.
Larry, I don't know. What do you think?
The largemouth bite is going to be tricky. I feel like the weather here has been crazy. I've been here since Sunday. We did a Stock the Pond event for Academy, trout fishing for a kids rodeo. It was snowing that morning. So it's been from snowing to 19-degree mornings to now it's like 68 degrees in the morning, like right at 65 degrees in the morning. But then we had torrential rain this morning too. So everything is going to be changing. The environment's going to be changing. I do think if he gets on the smallmouth, they might move around. You're going to find them. But I feel like they bite better in this crazy weather.
Yeah.
You know, bass will get turned off and move
The
around.
largemouth,
Yeah,
especially
largemouth,
baby blue skies with a high sun tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think the wind is next to nothing tomorrow, and that's smallmouth, like he said, 10 in those weather conditions tend to bite better. What do you think, Trey?
Unless John Cox took his outboard off and laid it on the back deck and like found some sneaky hole where there's 5 5-pounders laying, I don't think that the smallmouth bite is going to give up. You know, unless someone's a prick and they just hang out in Gussie's spot all day and don't let him get on it. I think the conditions tomorrow kind of set up for like we'd like to see on Lake Michigan or Lake Erie or something. That good UV penetration. Smallies are down there. He's able to pick, 5 3+ pounders off the bottom, and he's good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Biz Bait Sassy Stick. Yep. Another great bed. Great bait. Rick said Cuban bread on a hook in SoFlo. Yeah, he grew up down there, so he knows. Largemouth bite come on too late, I think. Yeah, you're probably right, Brian. The bigger largemouth bite has been later in the day, and with conditions tomorrow, I think it's going to push even later. Greg, I'm late to the party. How much do you guys read into the barometric pressure? I do a lot. There's very different techniques I use regardless of what the weather is, temperature-wise. Water temperature based upon barometric pressure. Yeah. I don't know. Larry, is that something you watch?
Every once in a while, but honestly, man, the few opportunities I get to go fish, I sometimes just got to neglect it and just get out there and go fishing because it's, opportunities come far and few in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to fish in the worst conditions ever, like post-frontal conditions, high barometric or whatever pressure. I don't pay attention to the numbers of the pressure, but I pay more attention to the wind and if it's pre-frontal and post-frontal. But I guess it really just depends on what time of year it is. If it's the springtime like it is now, you just got to go.
Yeah.
You just got to get after it because it's going to be like one day they're on and 1 minute they're on and 1 minute they're not. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't let any pressure high or low stop me from fishing. If it's a tournament and I have scheduled, it's going to be the worst possible for whatever time of year it is. Guaranteed, it's going to be either a high or low pressure system. It's going to be a 60-degree temperature swing. The wind will be blowing 422 miles an hour out of the east. Wind from the east, fish bite the least. For those of you that don't know. But yeah, it is, Greg. It is because high pressure, low pressure, fish will feed up or down, slower, faster, just depends on what's going on. Spring is a lot more temperamental, just because of water temperature swings and things like that. Do you like to go before or after storms?
Before.
A pre-front's always
during.
During.
Yeah.
Like during. And he just said my favorite during the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, during the storm, depending on how bad the storm is, yeah, Larry, you post, during?
Pre and during, because during no one else is out there.
That's
so you got the water to yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm from Carolina, so after the storm, we got chocolate milk. So
yeah,
it's that's not necessarily
as long as my rod tip isn't buzzing and my line's not like pointing towards the sky, like I'm good.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You can get you, I don't know, is that new H2OX got some new reindeer coming out, going to keep it good and dry, and them
honestly, the H2OX, they've come out with a whole bunch of new stuff. They've got 3 tiers now, one for your entry budget level fishermen, intermediate fishermen, and then they got pro staff. Blaylock Stetson, that's the guy who's fishing.
Yeah.
He's been fishing all H2O X Express stuff exclusively this week, and didn't have the greatest tournament, but I see the stuff performing, and everybody that's gone back to the booth to check with the guys at H2OX have been ecstatic about the new stuff they've come out with. If you down here in the Knoxville area, come by the booth at launch. It's early, bright and early. I'm telling you, bring me a coffee, please. But they got complimentary baits that they're handing out, and everybody who has received one has been just like, wow, the quality. One of the things that they add, and I'm not going, all of the crankbaits that actually have etched in the depth that they dive.
Really?
And I was like, that is ingenious, because every time I take it out the package, I have to
searching for
it.
Is it on the bill?
Yeah, or I'm writing in my little chicken scratch, with a Sharpie.
I wish every bait manufacturer that makes crankbaits would take into account and just put it on the bait somewhere.
Yeah.
Ben, you were gone. We had some really good questions, so we'll get your take on it. Do you watch barometric pressure?
Not like I should, but I actually think that has probably more of an impact than a lot of things.
Yeah. But
because I'm fishing when I can fish.
Right. Do you like to fish before, during, or after storms?
Right before, usually.
Yep.
Right before.
That's a consensus. Before or during, depending on how bad the storm is.
Yeah.
You did fish a hurricane one time, didn't you? Like while it was coming in because you didn't know any better because you didn't know.
No.
Somehow Ben didn't know the hurricane was
So this is what happened. So this is Hurricane Matthew 2016. It kind of rode up the coast, and Fayetteville was only supposed to be like 15, 20 mile an hour winds. And the tournament was up on Car Lake, so Bugs Island. It was still like 10 to 15. And that's what it was supposed to be. That was what Weatherman predicted consistently for multiple days. So I went out there. Yeah, in the morning it was fine. I made a 15-minute boat ride, and then when I tried to come back, it ended up being like an hour and 15-minute boat ride back with like 3-foot waves up there on the main part of Car Lake, trying to get back to. I think we were putting in Hibernia.
Yeah.
So that was an experience. I definitely had my life jacket on for that one. When you're crashing over waves and you're taking on water like a destroyer going in the ocean, it's like, well, I don't know. But it wasn't supposed to be that bad. And so I drove back to Fayetteville, and they had 60-mile-an-hour winds. We lost power for a day. So whatever happened with that, I don't know.
So during the storm.
Yeah, during. So he's during.
Yeah.
So
I did catch some fish during the storm.
That's right. You will.
We had Charles Christman. Final question: does Pete stand a chance against Charles, the heavy hammer Christman, in the Spring Warrior Clash next week? Charles, to be honest, now that you've put that up there, I'm just going to tell Doug to give you my money. Most likely, I don't stand a chance.
So I'll split it, right? Whoever's willing to pay more, I'll give Pete or Charles my waypoints. So let's figure it out. Right? I'll take 75%.
That's right. So, Trey, any last thoughts for?
No, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Larry, thank you so much for driving all the way out here. Appreciate it, man. Hope everybody enjoyed, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week,
man.
I appreciate it. I've enjoyed this. This is a great. This is fun hanging out here, talking. Here at the Classic. Sorry I had to get up for a little bit, but that was some additional customer service stuff.
Yeah, just kidding.
Larry, what you got?
Oh man, I'm just ecstatic. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's great to be here with you guys at the Classic. Don't let these guys fool you. They've been busy running all day. Their booth's been full. I took some pictures. I've been sending people over there. Everybody loves the stuff. They've been working really, really hard to produce a great product and then really inform the people about what they got. And they've been doing an awesome job. So I posted some pictures on Facebook of the booth when you guys were like slam packed, which was all day.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got your baits, you better get on them because they're probably going to sell out.
Plug them socials.
Larry Reed on Facebook, Lippin919 on YouTube and IG.
Yep.
Check them out. I got some great content. I'm trying to put some more out there. Any suggestions? Anybody want to link up and do some fishing and make some content? I'm down for it, guys. So
yeah. Chelsea's raising her hand. She'd rather fish with anybody but me. Yeah, so I don't have.
Well, with the way you drive, I
look.
I hit a nerve.
There are some videos that are never going to see the light of day.
Yo, Ben had his seatbelt on the third row seating.
Oh, God.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Look, I'm a good driver.
Have a good night, everyone.
Listen, so I got a couple things real quick. What's your code, Larry?
Oh, Lippin919.
Lippin919. If you go to the OneCast, you can get a discount there. Larry has been hustling for us. He says we're working hard. He's working just as hard because he's pushing Academy and everything that got going on. But then I can't tell you how many people came to the booth the last couple of days and said, my man Larry told me I had to come see y'all. And we got to tell them about what we got. And a lot of them, purchased some products to try. So, and then you had some guy follow you like all the way around the dang thing like a puppy so you could lead him up to check out our products. So we appreciate you doing Lippin919, Lippin 919 at checkout on onecastfishing.com. We'll save you a couple bucks. Let us know how much you like our boy Larry. Follow him on his socials. If you're listening to the podcast, please like, comment, review. It can be a one-word review. Leave something on there, Apple, Spotify, whatever it is you listen to. It helps us track metrics and then be able to help grow the show. And that's really all I got. I appreciate everybody tuning in. The growth's been awesome. These lives have been so much fun. We're going to keep doing them. We'll have one next Friday. I'm trying. My dad's coming down to fish the Warrior Clash with me because he's a retired fireman. So I'm trying to convince him to get in front of the camera. maybe tell some stories.
He's just
but,
out there drinking beer.
Yeah, he's just out
Come
there
on.
drinking beer right now. So he
Surprised he's not like Matt Robertson coming in here and be like,
smashing him on his head, getting it going. Yeah, appreciate everybody jumping in these. Appreciate everybody asking questions. Just the support's been awesome. Keep trying the product. Y'all are gonna love it. If you haven't tried it yet, make sure you do. Charles said, I'll just be happy if I'll be happy if I have one, man. But yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hold on one second. I got some special outro music for you, even though it's the same thing y'all hear every week. But yeah, shoot us messages, questions, any of that stuff. And we'll see you next week on the OneCast.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad. Son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.